This in US, I guess it's not live. Okay. So, hello everyone. It's good morning for the one who is live in the timelines in the morning one, and for the evening one also for the good evening. So, my name is Goutam Verma, and I'm a software engineer at WSO2. And today we are going to discuss a very great topic in the term of software engineering, which is around of observability and performance hurdles. And we are going to detect and resolve some performance hurdles which we usually face in the Presto DB when we run it in a big data set or big clusters. So let's go throughout the agenda. So we will first go throughout the introductions about what is the Presto DB and what is the Presto is about, and why do we need to monitor the Presto even we can simply run it and some query, right? And after that we will see some common performance hurdles we usually encounter with while running the Presto clusters. Then we will, once we have the clarity why we need to do the observability over the Presto DB, we will try to figure it out over which metrics we need to monitor our cluster or DB. And once we have the clarity about the key matrices, then we will take a look at into the monitoring tools, like how we guys can utilize those metrics and build some more robust monitoring dashboard or tool to completely observe and to completely or closely optimize the performance in the better way, right? And then we will take a look also into the metrics which are actually built in and provided by the Presto. So let's get started with the introductions. So this talk is majorly going around of Presto. So for the one who is new to the Presto, because I'm also the new ones, and I recently encountered with some of Presto in some of project in last 2 years, and it really made me think about how this Presto is really cool if we use in the proper and sustainable manner. So Presto is nothing but a distributed SQL query engine, which is majorly designed to run an interactive and complex query over the big data set. And the uniqueness about the Presto cluster or Presto DB is it's not actually dependent to any DB or any type of source. We can integrate as much as endpoint or source we want to integrate in the clusters. So this is the beauty of Presto, because they provide the major connectivities plugins so that we can easily integrate the other data source together, whether it is NoSQL, SQL, Elastic, whatever it is. We can easily do that in Presto. And as the definitions says that it is built to run the interactive data query over the big data sets. It means that we are going to involve in the big data set which are available at massive level in a distributed format with the different format as well. So if we run our system over that type of database, definitely we need to conquer our system with great performance, right? Because suppose if we have the great database and we have to run some interactive queries over it, it means that we are really doing some of the bit of work, because we are interacting with some raw DB which are not actually aligned in the same manner. So we want our system to be robust at that time. And no matter how strong we build the system, some at some point some limitations will occur in the systems, and it cause some problem later on, right? So to prevent from that problem, we always need to sure that we observe or we optimize or we closely check the performance of clusters. So in order to check the performance and the cluster, what we need to do is we have to monitor the whole Presto cluster, like Presto DB or Presto engine, with the help of some matrices. And as the slide says that the like another importance of another importance why we need to optimize the performance of Presto engine, so that we can run the complex query or interactive query more faster, right? And decrease the response time as well. And these things, like if we implement these things, if we properly observe the performance, and it will directly cause an impact to the user experience, because we will be able to generate the data or get the data in minimal time, right? So like in this talk we will discuss what are the challenges we have in the Presto performance like Presto performance stuff, and how we can get rid out of those performance, which matrices we need to observe, and once we have that kind of matrices, how we can use some observability tool in the open source world to get rid from the problem. Okay, so let's get started. So when we think about the monitoring, right? So suppose let's take a big picture where we are having the cluster of Presto, over which we have a couple of data source which is integrated together, right? And at that point, if we perform the monitoring in a way that will cause an alert after the event, it will make no sense at that point, because we want our monitoring to be too much proactive, so that we can get the status of system even way before the actual event is going to be happen. So by this way we can also manage and maintain the Presto deployments, and by this way we can get the high availability as well and the performance as well. So if we do the monitoring over the Presto engine or Presto DB in a proactive way, it will definitely help us to escalate uh, the detections of issues before even they occur, right? We can minimize the downtime, we can also optimize the resources. Now why are we concerned about the resources, right? The thing is, like, we are integrated, suppose we are like our Presto DB or Presto cluster is integrated with various resources over which we are running a lot of workers. The worker consume the CPUs, the worker consume the memories, which will it will unnecessary will cause a lot of cost and like other stuff as well. So we need to make sure that if we are doing the monitoring over the Presto cluster or Presto DB, we should firstly care about to the proactive monitoring. We first care about how we can decrease the time of query executions. Then once we have that kind of information available, then we can take a look into how we can manage the worker, so that they can minimize the downtime and optimize the better resources like utilizations. Once we have the better performance over the resources, we can definitely maximize the uses of itself, right? We can try to schedule some work in a such way that we can maximize the utilizations of resources. So once we have this type of proactive monitoring over the our cluster, then definitely it will brings a lot of benefits to the users or to the system as well, because if we have the complete comprehensive monitoring systems or the observability tool, by this way we can easily identify the problem, easily resolve it, because we have the logs, we have the spikes as well, so that we can easily detect the cause and resolve that problem. So that's the role of monitoring it. In fact, if we take a broad look of monitoring, critical role of monitoring and Presto, it helps you to run your worker node in a sustainable manner. It helps you to prevent the system from any serious cause, which might cause you the downtime, which might cause increase the executions of query. So overall, having monitoring tools for your Presto cluster is always going to be the best choice for you. And that monitoring, it needs to be proactive, so that you can detect the issues a way more before than the actual problems occurs, right? So this is the role of monitoring in Presto clusters. So if we talk about what type of common performance hurdles we majorly fell when we run the clusters of Presto, we can see that the first one is always the query latency spikes, like sudden increase of the query execution time, where we hit the query, where we are waiting for that and we are not getting times, the worker node is taking a way more longer time than it should take. So this type of let's say this type of challenge are actually cause the bad impact or cause the bad experience to the users, and and definitely they have other issues as well. If we have the query latency spike which is in high stuff, right? And this is the first concern. And the second concern will definitely go around of the resource contaminations, which is about the computations of CPUs, memories. Why I am again saying that it is important to manage the resources, because the cloud prices are really going too much high, like in the upcoming worlds, and it also causes the carbon footprint also. So it is always mandatory to utilize the resources in a sustainable manner, so that we can save the cost along with saving the environment as well. So I believe that it is great to have the resource contaminations around of CPUs, memories, so that we can also make sure the level of heap memory in in the current running like environment, the consumption of CPUs, and the network traffic as well, which definitely leads to slow down of the systems. Because suppose if we run the big queries and big analyticals over the massive data, and our worker node is not able to provide that response in the given time frame, because they don't have the desired CPUs, memory heaps, or having the lot of network burden. So it will definitely it increase the response time, right? It will definitely increase the response times. Suppose if you have the big picture where you can easily see that, hello, so my system is running out of memory, my system is running out of CPU computations, you can definitely take a look into that by creating a new nodes or new worker over the new nodes, or by doing some load balancing stuff over it. So the resource containment is always the second thought that came to my mind when I see about the common performance hurdles we see in the Presto DB. And the third one is going to about the node failure. So suppose if instance of Presto is running and becoming the unresponsive or a fall, it may cost because of this two one, which is resource contamination. Because suppose if we run a lot of query over the node, and it run out of memory, it run out of CPU's computations, the node may cause the failure. So the system you design will always update you about the current status of your node, if it is available or not. So if you have a comprehensive tool about the performance which covers this observability stuff, then you can make sure that your DB is running in the current state, having the uptime, utilizing the resources in the way more better than it was like using it. Then you can definitely, like, you if you have the query latency spikes as like lot of query latency type, you can use that also to optimize your query and analytical uh, queries, definitely. So like these are the base major common challenges we usually find out in the Presto clusters. And once we have the observability around of these challenges, our Presto cluster will definitely stay in the better manner, or let's say in a sustainable manner. So let's once like we have figured out what are the why we need to use the monitoring in Presto DB. Now we know the reasons why we are using it, and we are figured out some basics or some common performance hurdles we find out in the Presto clusters. Now let's see what are the key metrics we need to monitor if we are building, or if we are thinking to build the monitoring tool, or the monitoring tool or observability tool for Presto cluster to identify the performance of clusters. So the first critical matrix is definitely goes around of query execution time, which can be lies in the three different ways. One is definitely the average one, but this like what the average does is it actually tells the typical execution time for a query, but this times can be skewed by the outliners. And if we talk about the median is it's more the middle execution time, and providing a more balanced time for the complete query executions. And the 95 percentiles times it's used to let's say it's used to execute, like how much time it's taking to execute the 90% 95% of queries. So this tree is going to be the major the major layoff on the query execution time, and it will help you to easily identify the complete execution time and complete response time our worker node is taking to execute that query, or execute that interactive analyticals, right? So once we have the query execution thing, then we can definitely take into the resource utilization stuff, which are just like I previously mentioned, the the computations power of CPUs and memory, so that we can make sure that our system is running under the memory, not over the memory. And once we have the major concern, if we talk about the resource utilization, we should first care about the CPUs, how many numbers of CPUs we have, uh, does the system is consuming the correct memory or not, what are the network uses across the Presto worker node to detect the issues at easy level. So once you have or monitor this types of matrix sizes, you can easily check what are the current status of the nodes, worker nodes, right? And the third ones will goes around the queue length, and this will let you know that what are the wait time for that, what are the, suppose if, like, once we have the query execution time, we can check it corresponding to the query length, and identify what is this problem is occurring because of resources or not. So the query length is going to be the another matrix, critical matrix, that needs to be monitored while we are taking care of the performance. And the fourth matrices which will go around the data skew, which is used to, let's say, which is used to identify or rectify the uneven data distribution in the, like in the joins. And suppose if we integrate a couple of sources, or a couple of sources have different type of data or databases schema, right? And if we join them and aggregate them, if we run that analyticals over the clusters, does that response is affecting the performance or not? Because but like if we have the certain spike in this data queue, we can always check whether the database we have integrated in cluster of Presto is correct or not, or having the correct data or not, or having the correct schema or not. By this way we can check the data skew as well. So these are the some key matrices which we need to monitor if we are taking care of Presto performance. And so once you have the Presto, it's like we have discussed what are the common performance hurdles, like regarding of resources, regarding of query, regarding of node failure. After that we figured out what type of key matrices we need to monitor if we are taking care of Presto performance. Now we have the key matrices here. Now definitely, so we have the matrices here, we have everything here, right? And now we have to monitor this stuff. So lots of tools or enterprises tools are available in the market, but there is always an open source system that is available. Which one? The first one is the Prometheus, because so this tool we need to use the together. So we can't use a standalone tool, although there are some standalone tools available in the market, but I'm not pretty much sure about that. So if we talk about the how we can build the comprehensive tool with the help of open source systems, we have definitely the software available like Prometheus, Grafana, and this will help to you guys to easily build the observability tool. So the Prometheus one is the software which helps you to collect the matrices from the different sources. But in, like, suppose if you have a simple Presto DB cluster, so you don't need to collect the uh, matrices from the various different sources. What you can do is you can just configure your Prometheus to please pull the matrices from that endpoint, and the Prometheus will take care of each and everything in that case. Once you have the whole collection of matrices, suppose, like as I mentioned, that here we have this type of matrices, right? And all this matrices is not going to be available at a single place. Some point at some point you will find that more than two or three type of matrices at same place, but at some point you don't find all that at same place. So to get the all matrices at same place, you can use the Prometheus to for the matrix collections and also for the alerting regarding of matrices. Once you have the matrices, once you have the whole data sets regarding of matrices available, whether it is time series, whether it is gauge, whether it is histogrammical matrices, you can definitely build some great dashboard so that you can easily observe or easily observe the spikes, easily observe the current status of node. So for that you can use again the Grafana tool, which is again the open source tools. If you use at your own premises, it is completely open source and free tools to use it, and you can use this tool to for creating some great visualization dashboard, the great histogram matrices, the great time series matrices, the gauge matrices. And once you have the stuff, like these stuffs, you will have the definitely have the great observability tool. By this way, you can easily identify or check the performance of Presto cluster or Presto DB. And the third thing which I really wants to mention in this regarding of Presto built-in matrices. So the thing is, if you have, suppose, let's not talk about this first, right? Suppose if you don't have the Presto built-in matrices available in your customer, like in your cluster, and you want to write the matrices by your own, so you can write the matrices your own. The Prometheus, the open source system will allows you to write your own matrices, define your own matrices. Suppose if your matrices is not lying under this categories, and it is the way bit off-road or a bit different from this common matrices, you can definitely create your own matrices. But if we talk about what type of built-in matrices available, so you can definitely find out all this majorly major critical matrices which is generated by the Presto as a built-in. And once you have the matrices, you can collect it with the help of Prometheus. Once you have the collections of matrices, you can use that matrices to create some great uh, visualization stuff. So yeah, that's it. And we have talked about the Prometheus and Grafana here. And I would like to show some the great dashboard, how the great dashboard looks like. Here you can see that what are the active coordinators available, what are the active nodes available, what are the inactive nodes available. Suppose if any of node goes fall, we can see easily say the inactive workers here, and we can easily identify it. So this is actually in like a comprehensive observability tool which shows the current status as well as the proactive stuff as well. So suppose if some worker is going out of resources, like let me show you something. Suppose if you have like in this, you can see that memory heap uses, suppose it is 48%, and if it is goes to more than 70%, then you can create some alert like, hey users, your system is going running out of money, sorry, running out of memory, and it might cause the problem. It will generate the problem, so you can react to that problem in a proactive manner and solve it before your system die or your node fail. So by this way, you can identify it, and you can create this type of great chart with the help of all those metrics type that I have mentioned previously, like in the previous chats, and have this a great observability or monitoring tool for that. So suppose this talk is majorly concerned about how to detect the performance and how to improve the performance of cluster or Presto cluster. So once you have the solution for it, once you have the build the solutions, once you build the performance or monitoring tools, you don't only have the observability tool, but along with that, you can easily identify the performance. You can identify the current status of node. You can identify uh, what the how the system is going to perform in the future as well, right? We have data, we can make the analyticals from that using the matrices, and easily figure it out how, like what are the peak time, or what are the high query time or high stuff when we run this type of complex queries. So by this way, you can easily identify and detect and make the Presto cluster the way far more way far better than it was actually. So yeah, that's the whole case. And we can use the Presto built-in cluster with the help of the its UI component and CLI tools. And definitely we'll have the monitor specific metrics which is related to the cluster health and the performance optimizations. So this is the whole talk about how you can build the observability tool. Once you have the observability tool, you can easily identify the performance and detect the performance of your Presto culture or Presto clusters. So yeah, that's it about the whole talk. And if you want to connect over with me, you can connect me over a GitHub. The LinkedIn URL is present and all stuff.